Euthanasia, a reference handbook by Jennifer McDougall, states that the ancient Greeks and Romans coined the term euthanasia, which literally means good death. They practiced this in everyday life. Their euthanasia was, the governing state would provide a little vial of poison, and you take that and you would die. But their reasoning for euthanasia was, if one can no longer live a virtuous life, then he or she has the right to end their own life. They also had regulations on who could receive euthanasia, because they thought one had to have rationale behind their choice to end their own life. Margaret Batten, PhD, Distinguished Professor of Philosophy and Adjunct Professor of Internal Medicine at the University of Utah, and Timothy Quill, Medical Doctor, Professor of Medicine, Psychiatry, and Medical Humanities at the University of Rochester, stated that we firmly believe that physician-assisted death should be one, not the only one, but one of the last resort options available to a patient facing a hard death. This is what our proposition is about. Our proposition is about autonomy and giving people the option of euthanasia. In one case, stated on euthanasia.com, a lady named Sue Rodriguez lived in fear because she was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, which is pretty much muscle degeneration, and she already knew that the way she would die, which is she would choke to death because her muscles would degenerate to the point where she could no longer breathe. So she would live in everyday fear that she was going to eventually choke to death because her muscles would stop working. She went to the court to try to get euthanasia for herself, but she was denied every time. And this led to illegal measures where she had to go out and find, a radical doctor who would administer her a drug that would end her life. Our proposition works to avoid this problem by having people to be so desperate that they have to go out and find drastic measures to, have this option, which should be offered to people. The main purpose of euthanasia is to end suffering. By ending suffering, we could avoid cruel and unusual punishment. In another case stated on euthanasia.com, Ramon San Pedro from Spain was paralyzed from the neck down, and he stated that he wanted euthanasia, and his reasoning was, why die? Because every journey has its departure time, and only the traveler has the privilege and the right to choose the last day to get out. Why to die? Because at the time, the journey of no return is the best path that reason can show us out of love and respect for life, so that life may have a dignified death. Another point is that when a patient is suffering from a terminally ill disease, only the patient can relate to one's own pain. A doctor or a family member could probably speculate how much pain they're in, but they aren't experiencing it firsthand, which is a really big problem because, they could administer drugs and stuff, but we don't know if that really works. Dying isn't instantaneous. When a doctor says that someone has 6 months to live, they don't live a healthful life like in the next 6 months and just disappear. They start suffering and by the last month, they're experiencing excruciating pain, and the end is the worst, because according to Dr. Robert LaRusso, our body has these natural built-in survival mechanisms that just helps us survive. And at the end of a terminally ill patient's life, those mechanics kick in, and for a moment, the patient's stuck on the brink of death, but not dead yet, which is just not a good thing. Another case presented was Nancy Cruzan. She was in a car accident, and she suffered really bad injuries, which led to brain degeneration, made her quadriplegic, muscle and tendon damage, which are irreversible. So she couldn't speak, she couldn't move, she couldn't even swallow like water or food. So even if she was hungry, she couldn't eat. Even if she was thirsty, she couldn't drink. So like if they let her live, then she would be suffering so much that she can't enjoy eating and drinking. Our plan is to basically model off of Oregon's laws and have strict regulations on our proposition, but we aren't putting it out there and forcing people to get euthanasia. We just want them to have an option, and we're not forcing either side. We're not forcing the doctors nor the patients to get this treatment.